By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Benjamin Franklin offers these words of wisdom that should guide our water industry in our efforts for resiliency. Clearly understanding the risk that our industries face and the impact they have on our operations is key to preparing and responding appropriately. We face challenges to our operations that include natural disasters, health disasters, workforce issues, aging infrastructure, chemical releases, among many other things. These challenges are increasing in frequency and intensity, and the water industry must respond with preparedness in order to reduce risk and to preserve the continuity of operations. We have an obligation to not only our industry, but also to the environment, to our customers, and to future generations. Risks to our operational resiliency are not new. It's the frequency and the magnitude of these risks that has changed. Take, for example, the COVID pandemic. It's been an unprecedented challenge that we've faced on a worldwide scale. As a critical and an essential industry, our organizations can hope for the best, but we've got to be prepared for the worst. According to a recent survey of various water industry professionals, our top threats to operational resiliency are cybersecurity incidents, aging infrastructure, and an aging workforce. Other threats mentioned included climate change impacts, recruiting shortages, effective leadership issues, limited technology, natural disasters. A threat that has historically faced our industry was among least mentioned. We could assume that preparing for and responding to the routine storm, a hurricane, is something that our industry has adequately dealt with in the past and is prepared for. However, it's the increasing intensities and frequencies that could come with these climate change impacts that have our industry more concerned. These types of climate change impacts and the increasing intensities and frequencies of the risk to our operational resiliency is what is more challenging for our industry to deal with. The threat of cybersecurity incidents is not a new phenomenon, but it has become more advanced and prevalent among all industries, especially in the wake of recently publicized cybersecurity incidents such as the Colonial Pipeline breach. Cybersecurity remains at the forefront for most organizations. For the water industry, a cybersecurity incident has both organizational and societal impacts and can potentially affect the health of our consumers and the environment. Aging infrastructure also lies at the top of those risks as well. Each year, the American Society of Civil Engineers publishes a report card for America's infrastructure. In 2021, a C- overall for infrastructure, a C- for drinking water infrastructure, and a D+ for wastewater infrastructure. Those are not the type of grades that I'd want to get in school. And I'd work really hard to try to bring those grades up. Although the last risk mentioned in the top 3 is not surprising, it is newer: aging workforce. Organizations are beginning to feel the threats of a loss of workforce and operational knowledge that can significantly impact the organization. The labor force profile continues to shift. In the year 2022, it's anticipated that 25% of our labor force population will be over the age of 55. In addition, the primary working age of 24 to 55 has declined over the last 30 years and is anticipated to continue to decline. Of the many risks mentioned by water industry professionals, several were related to human resources: aging workforce, recruiting shortages, lack of effective leadership. As a technical industry, we're well versed to tackle technical operational issues. It's often these human-related issues that we fall short on addressing and we struggle with. Most of these human resources issues can't be tackled immediately, but they're long-term culture shifts that have to be driven by the leadership of our organizations. Although our water industry is imperfect in our workforce woes, in the event of threats to our operations. Historically, water industry professionals have demonstrated resilience in their responses. Let's talk about a few examples from recent events where our workforce has been able to rise to the challenge.
One of the greatest workforce resilience examples has stemmed from the COVID-19 pandemic health crisis. Organizations were forced to quickly pivot as states mandated closures and the social activities came to a stop. Schools and childcare closed. It forces parents to find daily care center for their children. Offices closed. It forces workers to telecommute. For the water sector, AWWA noted few challenges that stemmed from the COVID-19 pandemic, which includes absenteeisms, impact on field operations, such as longer shifts, fear of exposure, as well as impacts on chemical supply, impact on personal protective equipment supply, and raw materials supply. Organizations who could shift quickly to the remote work activity were able to maintain business continuity. But drinking water treatment or wastewater treatment is not a remote work activity, and emergency infrastructure repair cannot wait. Therefore, other adjustments had to be made. Water and wastewater utilities adapted to processes that minimize the employees' exposure. Water sector employees altered shifts, worked longer shift schedules, and altered work environments. For instance, the city of Greensboro, North Carolina, identified pump stations that were utilized for clocking and metering locations for crews so as to limit the number of people gathering in the operations center. Customer service for utilities changed from in-person to online or phone communications. Most public buildings were closed completely, which forced employees and customers to work through unfamiliar processes to serve their customers efficiently. Innovation comes with new challenges. As employees are shifting away from traditional working practices to remote or hybrid models, the risk of cyber attacks continues to rise. Therefore, to prepare for a resilient workforce and to minimize the organizational risk, a cyber resilient culture in the organizations must be built. Let's talk about one incident. In November 2020, Hampton's Roads and Sanitation District, HRSD, had been experienced a cybersecurity incident. The ransomware Ryuk infiltrated and shut down the Windows business systems for 3 weeks. All the computers and connected services of every employee had been affected. During the 3-week period that HRSD worked to restore most of the systems, staff worked diligently to keep operations going. Throughout HRSD, staff had to create Gmail accounts in order to communicate between staff and with external customers. HRSD's treatment group was prepared with action plans that helped provide paper templates and manual forms for the staff to utilize in instances where computers were not available. Employees worked with diligence and perseverance throughout the event, which had lasting impacts into January for the treatment people. HRSD's Interceptors division quickly deployed a one-way communication tool via a texting app to send out important information when the network was down. And that communication tool is still being used today to notify staff of support for emergencies like pipeline breaks, as well as important training needs or advancement opportunities. That incident brought awareness to all staff of just how real of a threat a cybersecurity incident could be to the daily operations of the organizations. Now let's talk about handling emergency situations during natural disaster. The past year has been one of the driest in most southwestern states since record keeping began in 1895. The consecutive wildfire incidents had made the situation even much worse. In September 2020, wildfires erupted in Oregon, burning more than 1 million acres of forest and 365 homes. Many who were working from home because of COVID-19 restrictions had to be evacuated. While the incident command system was being employed to manage the emergency, City of Portland employees developed 2 tools to provide additional relief, including creating an online database to offer resources and providing direction to field staff and contractors as to what work was critical and safe. Both of these tools were developed in the middle of the crisis and will be used in the future. All these examples show how our workforce in the water sector has risen to the challenge through a mentality of adaptation and innovation. We should remember quicker and more meaningful communications early in an event is only possible if you can manage stress and have good mental health. Helping employees with mental health issues creates a stronger and more productive workforce and finally improves workforce resilience.